Good evening, everyone. Come on in the room. Y'all know how we do it. When you get here, drop a line. Tell me you're out there. Let me know if you can hear me. I was having some difficulties earlier. Um, but come on in this room. Let's talk tonight. Let's talk tonight. It is what is this? It is November the 9th. Um, First of all, who can you believe we are in the month of November? But we are. It's November the 9th, and um, this month, this year, where did the year go? Where did the year go? But we're about to land the plane on 2025. And we're on the runway to 2026. So, yeah, come on in this room as you know how we do it. When you get on, say hello to me, drop your name in the chat so I'll know that I'm just not out here by myself. But if I am and you catch it on the replay, thank you for joining on the replay. I appreciate you. But yeah, last week, say, Sherry, where were you last week? Y'all, last Sunday was licensure and ordination at New Life. And so hey Miss Lisa, I'm glad I'm not by myself. You know, when I miss a Sunday, the people go missing. So I'm glad you came back. Last weekend, was um licensing and ordination. And so afterwards we went out and celebrated. And so I missed when I got back. I thought I was going to make it back in time to make it to Honeybee last week, but I didn't, because we were laughing and eating and having a good time. And I was too late to get back from Honeybee. So or for Honeybee. So that's where I was MIA last week. But I'm back. I'm here. How y'all like my new? I did some things different. I changed my office space around, so you got a different view. Now you have a different view. Um, it's nice to change things up. So anyway, as you're coming on, just say hi. Let me know who's out there, who's joining this evening. Um, and so we are going to get right back on track with our study. Thank you, Lisa. I do too. I like it's brighter. It seems brighter because I usually have a light on. But where how I it's situated now, it just seems brighter. Anyway, it's good to change up things and change up your scenery and everything. But we kind of took a pivot, so let's go back and do a review. We took a pivot. We 2 weeks ago, I think, um after we were talking about being good stewards of our body, right? Getting our body in line with motion. We pivoted. I believe that Holy Spirit wanted us to pause. Uh, and in that pause, it wasn't a stop, but it was to get us to linger, to just kind of linger in his presence, just, hang out with him, stay in that space, because there were some things that he wanted to reveal to us individually, right? There were some things that he wanted to say, so we hit pause. And then from there, we then we went to, oh, help me, help my brain. I think we went into re-entry. We paused, and then we we pressed the button off pause, and it was the re-entry, but we weren't re-entering the same way to pick up and continue to do the same things, right? There were some things that he revealed to us in the pause that we needed to let go, that we needed to lay down, and then there were some things that we needed to stop doing, but there were some things that we needed to start doing. And so that was where we pivoted, right? And so now we are back on track in our study of being anchored and accountable, and we're picking up, ironically, Lisa, we're picking up about giving with grace, accountability of money and stewardship. And I say ironically because what was today's message today? It was about giving. So that was not planned. I didn't plan it that way. That's just how how it shook out. And so I'm like, I don't think that is any coincidence or happenstance. I just think that God is really funny. And that's just where we are tonight. And so tonight we are going to talk about giving and living as faithful stewards of God's gifts. And so we all giving, when we think about giving, automatically giving, what comes to mind is always about money. It's about finances, because that's typically what we talk about when it comes to giving. Hey, Miss Diane, I am so glad that you are joining me this evening. You've been on my heart and mind all day, so I'm glad you hopped on. So we're getting back in the vein, right? We're moving from pause to the re-entry. And so now we're picking up in our 6-week study that we already were on, and talking about giving. And Diane, I was telling Lisa, I'm like, it's so funny that we should be talking about giving tonight, when that's what today's message was about. But I want to say this, giving, although we do talk about money, giving encompasses so many things, right? It's not just about money, but it's giving of ourselves, it's giving of our time. And so I want us to not solely think about giving as we have always thought about it, just solely relating to money. But I want to talk about what gives you angst and pain, or even anxiety about giving. Have you ever thought about that? For some of us, it's really hard to give, and I'm going to have a very transparent, or I'm going to be very transparent. Giving is, hey, Miss Brenda, how are you? Um, Giving, I struggle. I have had seasons of struggle with giving. I'll be very transparent. And sometimes I it giving just it makes me so fearful, and maybe not fearful, it just gives me anxiety, because my fear is, if I give, I'm not ever going to have enough, right? I'm a giver and find it difficult to accept or even ask. Yeah, yeah, that's really good. Diane says that she's a giver and finds it difficult to accept or even ask. I know many people that give that have a problem. That same thing, Diane. You are not alone in that. But Bishop said something today that really it kind of shook me, and he said, You too, Lisa, you're a giver and find it hard to ask and to accept. Most That's true of most people that do give. That is true. But Bishop said today is he said, and I hope I remember it right. He said we have more confidence in the first and the 15th. We have more confidence in that than we do in God. And I don't know about you, when I heard it, it was like that was like somebody threw cold water on me, because I'm very confident on we get paid twice a month, the 15th and the last day of the month. I'm so confident in that, and I get my deposit sometimes 2 days early for one of the banks that I have my check going to. I get my deposit up to 2 days early. I am so confident in that. I don't blink. It I don't waver in it. I don't question it. I just know that it's there. But am I that confident that God is going to meet my needs? That was a slap in the face for me, because I'm going to be honest, y'all. Sometimes, um, as things are thin, and they're thin in my house, and I know they're thin. They may be thin in yours. Um, I'm not always confident. Um, that God is going to come through. Am I the only one that feels like that? Have you all ever felt like that before? Um and so we're going to talk about it tonight. We're going to talk about it tonight. Um Releasing the grip of greed, finding peace and contentment, and giving with grace. Those three things we're going to talk about tonight. Um let's talk about it. Those that are joining, just say hello to me. Let me know who's hanging out with us tonight. Um, First thing, we want to talk about greed. And greed isn't always about wealth. Hey, Miss Wallace. Greed isn't always about wealth. It's about wanting more than we need and trusting things more than God. Let me read that again, because I had to sit in this. Let me read that again. Greed isn't always about wealth. It's about wanting more than we need and trusting things more than God. Luke 12:15 says this: watch out, be on guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possession. All kinds of greed. Did you just that was like, oh, there's more than one kind of greed? There's more than one? But that's what it says in the Bible. Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. What And so then I was thinking, well, what other kinds of greed are there? If it's not just being greed, wanting solely money. Hey, Miss Ramona, you are right on time. There are more kinds of greed. Did anybody else find that, like, oh, it's not just about money? No. You can be like greedy, wanting to hold on to everything. You could be greedy with your time. You can be greedy with things, possessions. There are subtle forms of greed. Did you know comparison, insecurity, and fear of lack? Those are forms of greed. Greed grows from a heart that doubts God's provision. Y'all, this almost took me out because I'm like, oh my God. Greed grows from a heart that doubts God's provision. So when we are doubting that God will show up, we get greedy. We begin to have closed hands. We begin to hoard our possessions, our money. And that's really what Bishop was saying today. Again, when we took a detour, right, in our 6 week study, we stopped at the body, and now we paused, we re-entry, and we just so happened to ironically end up here tonight, getting back in the vein of our study, our devotion. It's talking about being good stewards of God's gifts. So how do we move from doubting God's provision? How do we do that? Well, first of all, it always starts with gratitude. I know, right, Candy? Wow. God knows. God knew. It starts with practicing daily gratitude. We need to look around daily at what it is that we have. And we need to be thankful for what it is that we have, right? Lord, I thank you for I have a place to lay my head. I have a car that I can go out into. Is it the current model? No. But guess what? If I clean her up right and keep her maintained, she will take me from point A to point B. As much as I love shopping for clothes and shoes, I promise you, if I just keep putting on what I got on in the closet, keep dressing this body, it'll look just fine. It'll look just fine. How many pair of pants can you have? How many pair of black pants? How many pair of shoes can you have? It has taken me some gray hair to understand. You know what? You don't have to go. You don't have to go out and get the latest and the greatest. You don't have to do that. I've gotten to the point that whatever condition I am, I will be content. That's coming up. We're gonna talk about that. Yeah. We have got to trust in God's timing for provision. Y'all, this hit me. I'm telling you, if I could bruise from an invisible spiritual slap in the face, I would be bruised. We've got to trust God's timing for provision. He is taking us there, y'all. He is taking us there. Not only do we have to trust him for provision, but we have to trust his timing. And sometimes, I don't know about you, I don't know if he do y'all like this, but he does me like this. Sometimes he takes me all the way up to the edge. He don't let me fall over. He don't let me lose anything. And anything that I have lost, he always replaces. But his timing and my timing, sometimes I'm like, Lord, our timing is off. We need to get in step with one another. But his timing is always perfect. It is always perfect. So my question number one, get your pen and paper out, because I want you to ask yourself this question, and I want you to really sit down and think. Some of us may be able to answer it right away, and some of us may not. We may need to sit down and think about it. But what's one area? What is one area where you've been holding on too tightly? What's one area that you have been holding on too tightly because you have not trusted that God will show up and provide? And I know that I'm telling you, I can't imagine um how people are feeling right now that are furloughed. I cannot imagine. I'm watching my daughter walk through it. I'm watching my sister walk through it. I'm watching my fellow life changers walk through this season, and my heart, I'm praying, and not, Lord, how? Show me a way to help other than prayer, because prayer is great, but but sometimes we need to be a tangible blessing, right? And so God help. But uh yeah, Diane, I can't imagine. Um but like I said, I'm watching all these people around me, and I'm like, Lord, I wish I had an endless amount of money to give, but he's gonna give me something. The joy of generosity. Generosity brings joy because it reflects God's heart. It's more blessed. Acts 20 and 35 says it's more blessed to give than to receive. Generosity mirrors God's nature. John 3:16. Um, um, Diane says it's all I can't imagine. Um, but John 3:16 says God gave his only son. Or God gave his son, his only begotten son. Generosity. God, I always say this, God will never ask us to do anything that he has not modeled. God will never ask us to do anything that he has not modeled. And giving is not about an amount, but it's about an attitude. It's about an attitude. It's not so much what you do, what you give, but it's how you give it. Right? It's how you give it. Generosity changes us. It shifts our focus from scarcity to abundance. It strengthens community, and it deepens our trust in God. That's what generosity does. It shifts our focus from scarcity to abundance. It strengthens community, and it deepens our trust in God. And so practical ways to grow in generosity. What are practical ways? First of all, we can start with time and encouragement, not just money. See, we get stuck in being generous. We get stuck at money. And like I said, there are many ways. There being greedy isn't just about uh wealth. Let me go back there. Being greedy, there are subtle forms of greed: comparison, insecurity, and fear of lack. Those are subtle forms of greed. So we can be generous with our time and encouragement, not just money. Somebody needs us to be generous in their lives. We don't have to look far. I have any doubt that he will provide is just getting through the process. Yes, the process. Y'all, we can all talk about the process of something, right? It's the process, but it's in the process. It's in the process that God grows us. It's the process that stretches us. It's the process that really defines and prunes and shapes and builds. It's the process. And the process is uncomfortable. The process is sometimes painful. The process is sometimes scary, right? Because going through a thing. But ooh, on the other side, somebody say on the other side, you'll be better than when you went in. And so the next thing I want to talk about is planning with purpose. Stewardship means managing well what God has entrusted to us, whether it's our time, our money, our gifts, and influence, because we're not just talking about money. On the other side, that's right, Miss Lisa. On the other side. Thank you, Miss Ramona. Y'all, on the other side. It's on the other side. So we've got a plan with purpose. The plans of the diligent, Proverbs 21:5. The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. And so God is a planner. God is a planner, and he is very intentional about the things that he does and the things that he had stewardship of. He was very intentional. And so we need to be purposeful in our stewardship. And I said this to I was talking to a good girlfriend today, and I was like, and we were actually talking about what we could do to help help those that are furloughed. What could we do? And we were talking about if we just had this endless amount of money. And I made the comment again, because it's real life, right? I made the comment, I wish I had been a better steward of my money, and I didn't have this high credit card debt that I have, and I'm paying it down and all the things, but that would have freed me up to do more, to meet the need, because we can pray to God all day long, but we the people down here, we're here down in the earth to be his hands and feet. And so when we are not good stewards, oh, don't make me cry, Lisa. When we are not good stewards of what he's given us, and we get all tangled up in debt, and we then we get in a position to where we can't do like we should do. But just as sure as I am sitting here, God knows my heart, I'm gonna find a way. I'm going to find a way. I'm going to find a way, because that is my heart. And when we have the heart like God, when we have a heart like him, he makes a way. It's just like what I read earlier. Trust God's timing and his provision. He is going to provide. He is going to provide, because that's just who he is. That's just who he is. He is not going to let us go without. He is not going to. Now, will we be able to go out and get the prime steak right now? We may not be able to get a prime steak right now, but can we eat this ground beef? Can we make a hamburger? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We may not have prime rib right now, but we're gonna work with this. We're gonna work with this hamburger helper. We're gonna work with this ground beef and this hamburger helper. So, it may not be what you want, but he is going to give us what we need. It's going to give us what we need. So being content with what we have, contentment is peaceful satisfaction rooted in Christ, not in circumstances. Philippians 4:11-13 says, I have learned to be content. I have learned to be content. And how many of you all know that we have to learn? We have to learn. We have to grow to a place in God that, Lord, whether it's prime rib or hamburger helper, I'm content. That's right, Diane. We gonna leave the carbs out. We just gonna eat this pure protein. We gonna eat this here protein. Contentment is learned. It's not natural, y'all. It's learned. Um, and comparison kills contentment. When I'm looking over at your plate, because you eating prime rib, and all I got is this hamburger, and I'm not thankful and grateful for my hamburger, but I'm over here being jealous because you got prime rib, that kills contentment. Because I'm comparing instead of being that thankful that I got my hamburger, but looking over here, if you got prime rib, that means that one day I'm gonna have prime rib. It's just not today. Being contentment, I will tell you, I will be very transparent. I had this really bad. I was so ashamed of my little house. And I did not want to invite people over to my house because all my friends have great big houses. Beautiful homes, just beautiful. And I just got this little piece of duplex over here. And so I was so ashamed, and I would not invite people over to my home because I didn't have granite countertops, and I didn't have um um all the things that when I went to my friend's house I would look and enjoy. And so um God had to break me of that, and he had to let me know, he had to really really break me down and let me know it's not about any of that. It is not about any of that. That does not make me less than. That does not make them greater than. Um, and I have to tell you, I had to. God challenged me, and it was the hardest thing that I had ever done. Um, Elshire, I love your home life group, and that's Lisa. He broke me of that, and I invited people over to and that's how he did it with life groups. I was mortified, but I felt so called and compelled to have life group in my home, and that's what broke me of it. And I will tell you, I'm not bragging because it's just my little she shack, and I am proud of her, and God has blessed my home. But everyone that comes to my house talks about how peaceful and how beautiful. And I'm like, now y'all have gone too far talking about beautiful. But she's humble, but when I tell you she is full of love, and she is full of peace, and she is full of the Holy Spirit, it's my she shack. And I open my doors widely. I open them for whomever, because God has taught me. He has delivered me from comparison. That's my story. What's your story? Comparison kills contentment. Ways to cultivate contentment. Thank God. Thank God for daily provision. Number 2, limit social media comparison. Y'all, social media is killing us. It's killing us. Yes, I heard it's warm and welcoming. Oh, Miss Ramona, you gonna have to come over. Then you don't have to hear about it, girl. Um, social media, it is killing us. Don't y'all know that we only out here posting the best of us, the best side of us, the best, the good. Ain't nobody really for real posting the bad. And if they are, you gotta wonder, well, why are you posting the bad? You look, it's why you showing all that? Social media has just destroyed culture and life in such a way that everybody wants to show the high life, the good part. But we all know that that's not all the way right. Is everything good? No, because that's not true. That's not life. It's not reality. It is not reality. The next thing, ways to cultivate contentment: simplify your life, less clutter, more peace. Y'all, let me tell you something. Yesterday, I called Mama. Uh, or the ugly. Yes, absolutely. I like I said, I live in the I don't have a plethora of space. Y'all, it is just me in 104B, and you would think 20 people live here. I got too much stuff. I got too much stuff. And so I'm going, let's do oh, Lisa, y'all want to do Honeybee Live at my house? That is a good idea. Why didn't I think about that? That's why I have y'all. Okay, we gonna do Honeybee Live at my house. We gonna do Honeybee Live at my house. That's why y'all my crew, y'all be on it. We gonna do Honeybee Live at my house. Let's see. Okay, wait, let me get through this and we'll look at the calendar and see if it's gonna be next week or the week after. Ooh, okay. That's a good idea. Simplify your simple. Oh, so yesterday, I had so much stuff. I was moving my office space around. Y'all, you know how you pick up one thing and then you move it, then you got all this stuff. And I looked around, I was so overwhelmed. I was so overwhelmed at the amount of stuff. I was like, where where? And it's time to go. It's time to go. It's not gonna happen overnight. But it's we got to get rid of the clutter. Less clutter, more peace. And when you start getting rid of things, and as your space starts to lighten up, I promise you, you will lighten up. You will become lighter, freer. And then ways to cultivate contentment: focus on relationships and not possessions. Y'all, it is time for us to start focusing on relationships, building relationships, getting back to. I remember growing up, and I don't think my mom is on here. She might be on here. But I remember growing up and my mom would have girlfriends. Not a lot because that wasn't her, but she would have some um good girlfriends that would come over to the house, and they would sit and they would laugh and they would, just talk about life, talk about just the kids, whatever. It's time to get back to that. It is time to put these devices down. It's time to start reconnecting and re-engaging with people. There are women that just want to sit on the sofa, have a little cheese and salami and fruit tray with some soda or some tea, and they just want to sit around and laugh and have a good time. Or if they need to talk about life as not being so kind, and be able to have a safe place just to come and be restored, um to be loved on, to be strengthened, to pray, to gather around and pray. It's time to get back to that. I remember Mary Kay would say, face to face and knee to knee. It's time to get face to face and knee to knee. It's time to get back to pouring into people, to building strong relationships, to wiping tears, to circling and praying and meeting the needs of one another. It's time. It's time to start focusing on relationships and not possessions. So here's my second question. Where in your life are you striving for more when God has already provided enough? Where? Where in your life are you striving for more when God has already provided enough? Do you even realize, do you even understand that you already have enough? And maybe you're not there because you're still trying to acquire more things. And so, last, we'll finish with this: giving with grace. Grace filled giving flows from gratitude, not guilt or obligation. 2 Corinthians 9 and 7 says this: each of you give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. Grace given is personal and spirit led. The posture of the heart matters more than the size of the gift. Oh, she's out there. Mama's out there. The posture of your heart matters more than the size of the gift. Have you ever had somebody give you something and the way they gave it to you make you not want it at all? Has that ever happened to you? But somebody else can give you something with so much grace and so much love and thoughtfulness, and it was the greatest thing. It was the greatest thing. That's what I love about kids. When kids give you something, because it's the way they give it to you. Example, I was at church today, and Munch called me. Y'all know Munch is the bookend. He's the last one. Carter is the oldest. Then there's Colin, who's in the middle, and then there's that one at the end, Camden. And I call him Munch. Y'all hear Munch's stories all the time. And so Munch called me today, and I had just come down. I was worship lead today. So I was just come down from offering, and my phone rang, and so I saw that he had called while I was up doing offering. And so y'all know how I feel about my brown boys. So I left the sanctuary, and I had to charge my phone because it was I only had 1%, I think. So I went, found me a charger, and I called him. Um, and he said, "Hi, Mimi." I was like, "Hey, Munch," I said, "You called me. Is everything okay?" And he said, "Yes, it's fine. I just wanted to call you because my iPad was charged, and I just wanted to call you and say hello. Do you know that was the best? Y'all know how I feel about my boys. Y'all know how I feel about my kids. I was good. I The whole day was great. You know why? Because that gift, he gave me a gift from his heart, and it reached my heart. He said, I just my iPad was charging. I just wanted to call you. I was like, Munchy Bunches, thank you. I said, you don't know that blessed Mimi's heart. Now, the oldest one, Carter, I talk to him a whole lot, right? But sometimes Carter will call me because he wants something. And he'll go straight into asking me something. Bump. And so y'all know my kids have nicknames. So Carter's nickname is Bump. Camden is Munch. And Colin always just been Colin. He not the nickname kind of dude. He just Colin. So and I had to tell him, that's not how you ask me. If you want something from me, if I need you to address me better. So it's no different than when you give somebody something. Somebody can give you something and they don't really want to give it to you, but you know it. When they give it to you, you know it, right? And so we have to learn to give with grace. It's not how we give, it's not what we give, but it's how we do it. And so the posture of your heart matters more than the size of the gift. And y'all, I had to learn this again, going back to comparing. When I talked to you about I was too embarrassed about my house because I was comparing my house to my friends, and they have big beautiful homes, and I just had this little bitty place, this little bitty house. It's no different than what we purpose in our heart to give. Quit comparing what you give to someone based upon what somebody else has given, because that is not the same. Give from your heart, whether it's little or much. Don't withhold your gift because you are sitting back comparing, or you're already picking apart what you want to give. Like, oh, it ain't much. Quit. Don't even give the gift, and give it from your heart. Don't set it up. Well, it ain't much, but it's from. Stop it. And I am just as guilty. Quit comparing even what you have set aside in your heart to give, because you don't know how that impacts somebody. Just the fact that you thought enough about them to give. Your gift is just as important as the person that gave much. And it might be more important than someone who had a lot to give. Quit comparing what you give. Grace in every season. Grace in every season. When times are abundant, when we have much to give generously. Give generously. But when times are lean, give faithfully. Y'all, this, I'm telling you, it was like this over here as I was working on this. In times of abundance, give generously. But in times of lean, give faithfully. Don't stop giving. Because remember, what did I say? What did I say? Trust God's timing for provision. Because his timing don't always match up with what our timing is, but he's faithful. So you be faithful. Encourage each other in giving. Testimonies inspire others to trust God more. You know, my home church, I grew up, and they still do this when I go, and I don't go often. But one of the things that I do miss is testimony service. Y'all know what testimony service is. First, giving honor to God, who's the head of my life. Testimony service. We overcome by the word of, Lord, let me get it right. By the words of testimony. Sometimes we need to hear. Sometimes we need to hear how God has blessed other people. So we will have faith enough to believe if he did it for her, he will do it for me. And sometimes I think that's one of the missing components in our modern day church, is that we don't hear enough testimonies. We don't hear enough about what God has done for somebody else. And I also believe that that's how what's the word I'm trying to that's how doubt or fear, those aren't the words that I want to use, but that not sharing, it creeps in. We overcome by the blood of the lamb and the word of the testimony. Is that right, Mom? I think that's right. But when we don't hear somebody else's story about how they went through something or they struggled with something, but God came in. Thank you. God came in and delivered. And that's what I say. We need to get back to face and knee to knee, building relationships, y'all. We need to build relationships with other women so that we can encourage them and we can tell them our story. Girl, you can make it. You know why you can make it? Because I was in the same situation and God came and did this. And this is how I made it through until he showed up with provision, until his timing got in step with my timing. This is how I did it. We need to get back to that. So here's my last question of the night for you to go and think about this week. How can you give in a way that reflects God's grace to others? How can you give? How can we give in a way that reflects God's grace to others? So, tonight was about stewarding the gifts of God, right? And who knew? We took a pause, we pivoted, and who knew that we would come back, we would get back in the vein of our devotion, and we would pick up on giving. And for those that go to New Life that are on, and that would be the message tonight. I don't think it was a coincidence. I think it was God's divine timing. So this week, as we break down each day on Anchored and Accountable um, and Giving, I want you to think, where are you? What area are you holding on to tightly? Where are you? What are you hoarding? What are you hoarding? Remember we said that oh, I lost my thought. There are subtle forms of greed, comparison, insecurity, and fear of lack. Greed grows from a heart that doubts God's provision. Where are you doubting God's provision in your life? Planning with purpose. We need to plan. We need to ask God to show us, to help us with our planning. Um, ask His wisdom. Ask Him to come in and provide wisdom on how to steward what it is that you have. That's where I'm at. I'm asking Him, Lord, I'm in this debt. I've got this debt, and it's got me in a chokehold. But I know that you're going to make a way. And one thing I learned from my mother, and I'm gonna talk about her. She on here. It's okay. I'm saying it to her face. I watched my mom raise three kids, doing hair, y'all, doing hair. And I have watched her give. She is a giver. I think she has the spirit, that one of a spiritual gift to be a giver. And I will tell you, she is like the woman with the carafe of oil and meal that don't never run dry. I've never seen her run dry. And I make way more money than my mother um, has made doing hair, but I find myself in lack, and I always find her in plenty. And that is being as transparent as I can be. I be in lack, and she always has plenty. You know why? Because she has learned to get in the flow of always having to give, always having abundance. It's because she's a giver. And what you don't play with is tithe and giving, um and giving to her leaders, her pastor, her first lady. She gives not only monetarily, but she cooks, she does things, to make sure that the man and woman of God are taken care of. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that that is why her barrel does not run dry. And so you asking the $1,000,000 question, because I ask myself every day, well, Sherry, what's your problem? You know what to do. The example's already been set. But I'm telling you, I'm human and I struggle. And what Bishop said today and what I said earlier is, it's about wanting more than it's trusting things more than God. I trust the 15th and the last day of the month more than I trust God. And so that's what I'm asking God to help me with. And I'm asking you all to pray with me. Because I'm not ever gonna get on here and act like I got it all together, because that's a lie from the pit of hell, and that's not me. I'm real and I have struggles just like you. Yes, and she a usher. she she keeps the doors of God's house. All right, y'all. That's all I got. So, uh Lisa brought it up. The next honeybee, the next God's divine timing for sure. Yes, Miss Ramona. It was his divine timing. So Miss Lisa threw it out there on the table, and I'm gonna pick up the gauntlet. Miss Lisa, not the next honeybee. So next honeybee will be, what's today, the 8th? So next honeybee on the 16th, because today's the 9th. Let me get on the right side of the calendar. November 16th. So November 23rd, mark your calendars. Everybody put it down. Put it in there. November 23rd, we will have Honeybee Live at 104B at the She Shack. I will invite y'all over to my home, and we will have Honeybee Live November 23rd. All right? You want to come? Well, Miss Wallace I don't know what we can do about that. November 23rd. Y'all hear me? I have thrown it out there. I will send out a message in the DMs for those that don't know my address. I will send the address out, and we will be here at my house for Honeybee Live. I love it. I can't wait. It's gonna be the best. All right, y'all. That's all I got. Lisa, you gonna be there? You better, because it was your idea, ma'am. What time? You know what? Let's not do 7 o'clock. Let's do 6 o'clock that night. Let's start a little early. Is that okay with everyone if we do 6 o'clock? Because anybody that's ever been to my house, I like to be the hostess with the mostest. So I want us to have time to, I ain't gonna spoil it, but we'll do it. 6 o'clock. Will that work? Lisa said that's perfect. All right. All right, y'all. Have an amazing week. Thank y'all for hanging out with me as always. So next week, zoom me in. Yes, I will zoom you in for sure. 6 is better. Okay, perfect. We'll do 6 o'clock. So we'll see y'all. What's the date? November 23rd at 6 p.m. at 104B. I'll give you the rest of it privately. But y'all have a good night. Have an amazing week. I love y'all. Y'all just have a great week. See you next week. Bye.